Imagine a world 6 million years ago, where survival wasn't about cities or tools, but raw instincts. In this brutal age, one mysterious object, ivory, emerged not as decoration but as the ultimate weapon of survival. 4.5 million years ago, the Earth was a dangerous arena. Giant predators roamed open landscapes, while early humans and their ancestors lived fragile lives. Food was scarce, shelter was temporary, and survival meant constant struggle. This was the dawn of the Pliocene epoch, a time of shifting climates, expanding grasslands, and unpredictable challenges. Our ancestors were learning to adapt, slowly understanding the environment and experimenting with natural resources around them. In this prehistoric theater, one material began to shape survival strategies: ivory. Unlike stone or wood, ivory had strength, flexibility, and durability, making it a rare treasure. But its value went beyond tools. It became a weapon against extinction. Elephants, mammoths, and mastodons carried this resource in their tusks. For early humans, these mighty animals were both a threat and a lifeline. Bringing one down meant danger, but it also meant meat, bones, and precious ivory. Imagine the risk, chasing a massive creature weighing several tons with nothing but primitive courage. Yet for those who succeeded, ivory became more than material. It was a weapon, a tool, and sometimes even a symbol of dominance. Sharpened ivory shards turned into deadly spear tips. When fire hardened these tips, they pierced animal hides more effectively than wood alone. This innovation shifted the balance of power between hunter and hunted. Ivory was not just about weapons. It also provided handles for tools, ornaments of identity, and even the earliest experiments in art. It reflected intelligence, an ability to shape the world beyond what nature had given. Archaeologists have uncovered ivory carvings dating back hundreds of thousands of years, each revealing a story of survival. These objects whisper of a time when creativity and necessity walked hand in hand, pushing humanity toward evolution. But survival was never easy. Predators like saber-toothed cats, giant hyenas, and packs of wolves tested human endurance daily. Without strong weapons, humans would have remained prey, not hunters. Ivory changed this balance forever. Unlike brittle bones or heavy stone, ivory's light weight allowed fast, efficient strikes. Spears made from ivory were easier to carry during long hunts across endless plains, making them an indispensable part of early survival. As tribes formed and knowledge passed between generations, ivory became more than just a weapon. It became a shared inheritance, proof that innovation was humanity's strongest defense in an unforgiving world. The story of ivory is the story of evolution itself. By learning to shape tusks into weapons, humans demonstrated foresight, patience, and planning, qualities that set us apart from every other creature on Earth. Ivory also represented risk. To acquire it, our ancestors had to face giant animals. It demanded courage, teamwork, and strategy, teaching humans that survival was not an individual game but a collective mission. With ivory in hand, hunters became legends. They brought food to their people, defended against predators, and earned respect. These weapons didn't just save lives. They created social bonds and defined early leadership. Every tusk was proof of victory, a reminder of danger overcome. Holding ivory meant holding power, the power to protect, the power to hunt, and most importantly, the power to endure. As climates shifted and challenges grew harsher, ivory's importance deepened. It wasn't always abundant, which made it even more precious. Those who mastered it gained an edge over rivals, shaping the destiny of their tribes. Ivory carvings also hinted at spirituality. Some tusks were shaped into figurines, suggesting that humans saw ivory not only as survival but as a connection to the mysterious forces of life and death. From Europe to Africa, ivory artifacts tell a universal story. No matter the land or culture, humans discovered its strength. It united distant tribes under one principle: survival through innovation. Think about it, without ivory, human evolution might have been slower. Weapons may have remained weaker, predators deadlier, and survival less certain. Ivory carved the first chapters of human resilience. It was more than resourcefulness, it was genius born of necessity. Every strike of ivory against stone, every carving of a weapon, was proof of humanity's ability to turn weakness into strength. Even predators began to fear humans armed with ivory-tipped spears. For the first time, humans were not the hunted but the hunters, marking a turning point in the struggle for dominance. This shift was revolutionary. Ivory gave humans a psychological advantage, confidence. With weapons that worked, survival seemed less impossible. Fear slowly transformed into courage, and courage into progress. But ivory was fragile in one sense. It depended on the survival of giant animals. As humans advanced, the very creatures that gave them tusks faced extinction, an ironic twist in nature's balance. Still, the legacy of ivory weapons lived on. Stone tools improved, metals emerged, but the lessons of ivory remained. Innovation was survival, and survival required transformation. Fast forward through prehistory, and ivory continued to fascinate humanity. From symbolic carvings to sacred objects, its meaning expanded, proving it was never just about hunting, it was about identity. For our ancestors, ivory stood as proof of resilience. It carried stories of courage, danger, and victory, echoing across millennia. Each artifact found today is a silent voice from a forgotten world. When you see ivory tools in museums, you're not just looking at objects, you're looking at humanity's first battle cries, the earliest signs that we were destined to rise above nature's chains. Ivory taught humans to see beyond survival. It planted the seed of imagination, the ability to use the environment in new ways, a skill that would one day lead to civilizations and technology. Survival was never guaranteed. Many species vanished, many failed to adapt, but those who shaped ivory into survival weapons secured a future not just for themselves, but for all of us. This is why ivory remains such a powerful symbol in human history. It wasn't gold or jewels that first defined power, it was tusks, carved by desperate hands seeking one more day of life. Through ivory, humans learned cooperation. Hunting large animals was impossible alone, but together with spears and strategies, they achieved the impossible. Ivory was not just a weapon, it was a bridge to community. Each successful hunt brought food, warmth, and hope. Each ivory spear sharpened by fire was another chance at survival. In this way, tusks became the heartbeat of early human life. Without ivory, our ancestors may have remained vulnerable, forever at the mercy of predators. Instead, they adapted, and adaptation is the very definition of evolution. It is no exaggeration to say that ivory helped pave the path to humanity's dominance. From fragile beings to masters of survival, this journey was written in the tusks of giants. This story reminds us that progress always comes with sacrifice. The animals that gave ivory paid the price, yet their tusks ensured the survival of another species, our own. Across continents, ivory echoed the same message: survival belongs to those who adapt. Those who shaped it endured. Those who ignored it faded into history. Each tusk carried the memory of struggle. Each carving was an act of defiance against extinction. Through ivory, humanity learned that weakness could be transformed into strength. And so, ivory became more than survival, it became destiny. The weapon that saved lives also carved the path of human progress, echoing across millions of years. Today, as we study ancient ivory artifacts, we are reminded of where we come from, a world where life was fragile, survival uncertain, and innovation the only hope. The world of 4-6 million years ago is gone, but its lessons remain. Adapt, innovate, and survive. That is the legacy ivory left behind for all humanity. From fragile hunters to dominant survivors, this journey began with a single idea: reshape nature. Don't let it reshape you. Ivory was the first step toward that revolution. It was never about beauty alone. It was about strength, adaptability, and foresight. Ivory was the proof that humans could rise above the chaos of the wild. Even as time erased the mammoths and predators, the ivory story lived on. It whispered through generations that survival requires courage, and courage requires innovation. Ivory's role in history proves one truth: humanity's survival was never accidental. It was earned, carved, and sharpened, tusk by tusk, weapon by weapon, until the world itself was transformed. From ivory, humans learned their greatest lesson: tools change everything. With every weapon shaped, every predator defeated, we stepped closer to becoming who we are today. If this journey into prehistory opened your eyes, imagine the countless secrets still buried in time. Subscribe now, because the story of humanity is far from over, and the next chapter may surprise you even more.